me, what sets music apart from other art is music only exists unfolding in time. Music isn't a thing, it's a process. So it's harder to get wrapped up in ideas about what something is or its meaning. It's because music is temporal. You can't talk about music as a static object. It unfolds over time. I mean, the other medium we're surrounded with that does something similar is film. It's similar, it has different affordances, different limitations because it engages with sound and sight. But I think you can argue that a movie has more capacity to be emotionally moving than music because of this. But it also demands more attention, and so its functions are restrained. It doesn't make sense to dance to a movie, to march to a movie, to worship to a movie.
Because you gotta see the movie. I also feel that's why movies can be much more divisive than music, is because there's more things happening, so it's not as good at unifying people. You can be more biased against a full experience than you can against an individual one. It's easier to write off, like, there's more elements for you to dislike about film than there is for you to dislike about music. Music, you're like, oh yeah, I don't like that wiggly air, I'm out of here. Movie, if you like all the wiggly air in it, but you're like, that acting was a little off, nah. Or like, that script was a little off, Or like, there's so many more things you can dislike, but that's why you need to segment which parts of the art you care about and which parts you like, and why actually discussing in depth. Like, there's been movies I'm like, this movie sucks, but that score went obscenely hard. Or this movie sucks, but whoever was on cinematography was being paid way too either much or little. Like, they were going off.
The movie Pixels with Adam Sandler?
Yeah. Script on point. Acting on point. Score on point. Side characters. I've never seen it.
A film to unify the masses.
Yes.
Movies are packed with more information, and I think there's this idea that images are more true to reality. I think that mostly has to do with the language we use to talk about things. Like, if you know something, it's illuminated to you. If you don't know something, you're in darkness. There's a lot of visual metaphors that sort of cloud how we feel about things. And so there's always been this idea that if you see something, to see is to believe.
Which is interesting because humans can react to sounds faster than they can react to visual stimuli.
Well, that's why I think we get a more actual, authentic understanding of sounds than we do from video, and why we have more time to be, like, biased over visuals. Like, when the first experimental photography ever happened, people were appalled by it and thought it should be illegal to depict things that weren't camera accurate, because in their mind, it was going to corrupt people's perception of what society was actually like at that time, because they had more time to process and think about it and give it some pondering and be like, nah, this isn't it. This is bad. But then as time went on, experimental stuff has gotten much more acceptable because they're like, okay, people in the future understand that this isn't what society like actually looked like, so we don't need to worry as much. It's not going to ruin their perception of our whole world. And that's why I can't judge people getting upset over experimental like film and other things, but also like they shouldn't have cared that much.
And I think that's becoming relevant again now that artificial intelligence visual deepfakes are becoming a thing. I mean, we've had people who can do convincing impressions of other people, but now it's a worry that not only can people be impersonated sonically, but you can actually generate a picture or even footage of someone doing something.
It's just an entirely different one. But now there are things so you can directly know this is a thing in reality. That's a thing that looks like it's in reality, but actually isn't. That's why people didn't have, like, other than aesthetically too big of an issue with CGI, they're just like early days, like 2000s. We just don't like it because it doesn't look as good. Like, that's why we don't like it. It's not because we think it's manipulating anything.
And it all ties back into pattern matching. It's with the experimental photography. It's a pattern people hadn't seen before, and because they got so used to the mundane. And then with AI, it's a pattern that we all recognize, but it's not in an order we've ever seen before. Because it literally doesn't exist.
And I was going to say, yeah, it's the best I've heard it saying is It's a computer dreaming up an image instead of making one using information that's already there. If you use like AI to retouch, like make a low-res photo high-res, it's literally like adding information into the code. It's not reworking the code. Like if you add a motion blur into something, that's just stretching the code. Or if you reverse a motion blur, it's reversing some code. That's just shuffling some numbers that are already in like the hard data. With like up-resing something or other stuff like that, that's information that like didn't exist in a pattern before. Experimental photography, everything captured was actual light in the real world reflecting onto something. So they're like, you're actually making a hard image of the real world. That's not a thing that actually really exists in the real world, but you're depicting it and managing to capture it. Whereas, old photography was used so you could remember what a loved one looked like by capturing their still face in a position.
Fuck that. I want to see their face distorted.
Give me that.
I see distorted faces of loved ones in my dreams every night.
And that'll be all for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that comment section.